Guys, it finally happened. One of these like fan fiction style novels seemingly based on real people turned movie doesn't suck. Yes, I am just as shocked as you, but when you get Anne Hathaway for your smut adaptation, you gotta class the joint up. Welcome back to the channel. Subscribe if you're new and enjoy, but The Idea of You is a romantic comedy based on the erotic romance novel of the same name starring Anne Hathaway and Nick Galitzine, our little bottoms angel.
Shut up, nerd! I f***ed your mom!
Bringing entirely new meaning to that line in this movie, directed by Michael Showalter, and it was honestly kind of delightful. I will clarify because I am one of the people who genuinely thought it was originally a fan fiction based on things I'd read and what people had told me, but no, apparently this was just published as a book as is, but there are some real life inspirations that are quite obvious that we will get to. Now, in terms of enjoying the movie, admittedly I saw it in the best possible environment, the world premiere at a film festival. The audience was into it. We had the entire cast, the director, a bunch of different producers, pretty much anybody you could want to be there was there. It was probably the most engaged crowd I've ever been around, or at least highly up there. There's so many reactions, so many oohs, so much fun. Anne Hathaway cried because she was so happy at how it was received.
I love you so much. I wish I could. You have no idea the gift that you've just given us with your responsiveness by being so connected to every little nuance in this. I will never forget this screening. Thank you so much.
And they really killed it with the premiere. Like, we had like posters for the boy band that I will get to if you don't know what that means. They had like fake tabloids, which was super cool. Like VIP backstage badges that they were handing out. But my personal favorite, at the after party, they were paint spinning records. Isn't that neat? I'm a Leo. It's like my colors. Very cool. Like, add-ons like that aren't going to make me like a movie more, but I certainly appreciate them, especially when I do like the movie. I got posters for a handful of different projects like The Fall Guy and Roadhouse, and you will notice that the Roadhouse poster is not on the wall. But as per usual, diving into this, I will be talking about the movie and weaving in some of those book differences. Not too many, because I do feel like the book kind of drags things out more than it needs to in a bunch of areas, but basic premise is that this semi-newly divorced mom meets a singer in a boy band, and the two kick off on a jet-set romance. And like our dear friends over in the After universe, the basis of this story originates with One Direction and Harry Styles. But instead of sticking him in college, Robin Lee fully maintains the boy band status as the primary feature of this character. Our protagonist is a career woman. She can meet him when he's doing his boy band music career. Now, I know Lee said that the character of Hayes Campbell is like an amalgamation of a bunch of different people from her life, and then the book is really trying to hone in on this idea of, like, you know, at a certain point a woman's whole life almost becomes about serving other people, and she wanted to write the counter to that, having a woman be able to explore her sexuality and excitement in that kind of way, but you know, with a super famous young hottie. So navigating that aspect of the relationship, his ultra fame gets to be the drama, not him being an abusive asshole like it so often is, which I really appreciate. But my god, the smut levels in this book, it is actually too early in the video for me to drop some of the lines that I found the most titillating, because YouTube will get upsetty, so you'll just have to wait. And you too can be the author of an erotic romance with the help of today's sponsor, Skillshare. Just pop on their learning path for developing memorable characters and you'll be well on your way. With summer right around the corner, there's never been a better time to build some new skills and hobbies. And Skillshare is the place to do it as the largest online learning community for creatives. Like, I remember last year I really wanted to start taking pictures of the festivals I attended and include them in my different journal entries, but I never really got a hang of the style I wanted, so I also recently tossed in a Min T's class on outdoor photography. And as I touched on earlier, Skillshare has learning paths, so it's really easy to pick a passion, then work up to your skill level. So say you did want to dive into photography, but felt like you needed a little bit more on the fundamentals before diving into Min's class, well, you can just go through their intro to DSLR photography path. I know I always feel best when I'm taking the time to pursue passions and grow some interest, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, so invest in yourself this summer with Skillshare. Whether it's personal development, productivity, film work, writing, photography, art, and a slew of other things, Skillshare has something for everyone to discover. So make sure to check out Skillshare today to build some new hobbies and support the channel. The first 500 people to sign up using the link below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Jokes aside, the movie is really solid. They have great chemistry as leads. I think the romance aspect is tasteful, just dancing around the racy instead of being borderline porn. And their chemistry is what's so needed in this. I will say that watching it the second time, the age dynamic felt a little bit more present, like, oh honey, he looks the same age as your daughter, and just some of the conversation dynamics between the two. It's fine though. The movie does actually age him up a little bit from the book. In the book, he is 20 and she's turning 40. In this, they bumped him up to 24. So still a pretty big gap, but not as bad. You know, the frontal lobe, it's almost completely developed. But our lead here is Solene trying to find herself after getting divorced from her husband who cheated on her with a significantly younger woman, but still not as significantly younger as Hayes. And yes, they will kind of do some comments on the fact that she also ends up with a younger man boy. Not a ton, but it's there. So Solene ends up having to take her daughter and her friends to Coachella because the ex bailed at the last second for work.
Let Ava take them.
Ava's coming with me.
Of course she is.
Her being a pushover with him is a regular occurrence, and she still hasn't fully bounced back post-divorce to find herself, feeling kind of inadequate, ignoring her sizable LA home. And apparently he had bought them big VIP passes specifically to see August Moon and do the backstage meet and greet. Now in the book, this is a massive deal because her kid is 13 and still super into them, but in the movie, they've aged her up to being in high school, and this was like a band that they loved in middle school.
August Moon is just like so...
7th grade.
So it is a very different dynamic that makes the daughter way closer in age and behavior to Hayes, but her and her friends all just want to go off and watch St. Vincent while she hangs out in the VIP lounge waiting for the meet and greet. Where we got my favorite moment of, oh, it almost feels like they're making fun of the author here.
This your first time? Getting mooned.
This is a mom pretending to be at this meet and greet for her kid when she's the one who's obsessed with the band.
Which one is your daughter's favorite? Mine's Adrian. Look at him.
And she just won't believe that Solene might actually be here for her daughter. I remember when I saw this movie and I was like, wow, that is like such a lack of self-awareness on the part of the author who wrote herself into a One Direction romance story. I get that she doesn't fully say that that's what it is, but at the end of the day, it's kind of what it is. I understand that she didn't write Solene as a full representation of herself and life, but there's obviously some overlap, which is totally fine and normal, only to find that this part isn't in the book, which is good. A little bit more self-awareness there. She said she randomly stumbled on One Direction while watching YouTube videos and just focused in on Harry Styles and built the story out from there, even though Hayes isn't supposed to specifically be Harry. It's whatever. I don't really know too much about Robin Lee, just that she's said this kind of stuff in interviews, but I did find out that she was in the 50 Shades movie, so really coming full circle here. Basically what I'm saying is that she says it's not 100% supposed to be like an insert story for One Direction and Harry Styles, but like when you read it, it kind of feels a little bit like it's a self-insert into a One Direction story, but that's okay. All writing is based on inspiration, and I'm sure there are a lot of other influences on characters in this book, especially Hayes, but you know, there's the big ones. Either way, to escape this situation, Solene goes to find a bathroom and unintentionally ends up in Hayes Campbell's tour bus without realizing it. And I'd like to think it wouldn't take too long to realize that this isn't like a fancy toilet trailer and absolutely someone's personal space, but sure. It's all good though because she's Anne Hathaway and he has mommy issues. So he's obviously into her.
Your daughter, she's August Moon fan.
She was.
Ouch.
Ooh, damn, the gut punch there. Doesn't fully put him off though. He's just doing anything to keep him around before his duties kick in.
So, do you need me to dress you?
Do you need someone to help dress you?
On special occasions, yeah, sometimes.
So it is meet and greet time, and finally at the very last minute, the kids show up because they wish they were still at St. Vincent, which I totally get if I had the choice between walking through a line to say hi to the Backstreet Boys who I liked in elementary school or watching St. Vincent perform. I know what I'm picking. In the book, this is actually where Hayes notices Solene. They don't have their fun little trailer back and forth, which I really liked, but yeah, apparently some real mommy trolling going on here. Definitely prefer the trailer meet and greet because it also leaves room for that, like, really? You think she randomly walked into your trailer and didn't know who you were? Sure, type drama. We also get a little taste of bad boy Ollie here. Huge asshole, who also plays a huge asshole in a movie called I Love You Forever. Ray Cham, I think his name is, and I actually had a chance to talk with him a little bit, and he was super nice and really hoping that I Love You Forever gets picked up for distribution. So pick it up for distribution, and once it does get picked up, you guys make sure to watch it. I talk about it in the video I'll have linked down below with no spoilers. Now, one thing I really like about this movie is they actually hired someone to write proper songs. It sounds like legitimate and authentic boy band bops that would have done super well in reality, and they don't do it just once, they do it with multiple songs. And they really made this feel like it was a massive festival concert for them and not just that they, hijacked the Weeknd tour date. I know it's been almost a year, but I'm gonna take jabs at The Idol wherever I can because I kind of semi-complimented them like a couple videos studios ago. But then they do a little song switch up after starting so Hayes can perform a song for Solene. Now obviously this is a move, but it works. It even has some lyrics about her being a little bit older, so like this must be his specific MILF pickup song. But the night ends alone before cutting to her 40th birthday party. This is another change the movie makes. Her 40th birthday happens later with Hayes, and it shifted to sooner here so we can really see how bad her prospects of a new age-appropriate man are.
I would like you to accompany me to a restaurant for a meal of food.
Look, okay, that's about the level of game I have, so like leave my man Todd alone. Kinda necessary to shade all the age-appropriate men though, just to have her date a mid-20s pop star if that's what you want, because those emotional maturity levels aren't guaranteed on either end. But it's not long before Hayes swoops into the gallery to sweep her off her feet.
These pieces were thrown by a fantastic potter we work with.
She threw them at the wall.
Oh, he's a golden retriever boy. So he ends up buying all the pieces in the gallery, and what I enjoy is that she actually calls him out on it.
This is real art. These are real artists. They take their work very seriously. You're coming in here like you're buying apples or something.
And I genuinely connect with it. I would really like to buy it if it's okay with you.
So he still gets them all, and she takes him to a private artist's studio to see more, where she shows him this painting she loves.
What do you feel when you look at it?
Everything.
Obviously, she's wondering why he's trying so hard, and he really just likes that she doesn't seem to care about who he is, which absolutely makes sense to me.
You're also you're hot or whatever.
That too. And for those of you who feel like this might share some similarities with Notting Hill at this point, my friend Zach thought the same thing. Definitely not a one-to-one match, but some spiritual similarities, though Hugh calling himself a daft prick at the end is not correct. He didn't do... It's fine. Continue here. It's not hiding these inspirations at all though, especially the book where it specifically mentions it being like a Hugh Grant movie. And as much as she knows this is all foolish and it can't go anywhere, she invites him over for a sandwich. No, literally, she just makes him a sandwich. Where it actually seems to be revealed that he should be having some daddy issues more than mommy ones because the dad didn't try to be around until Hayes was famous. Either way, the boy really has a thing for older women, and the book really makes sure to let you know that this is like a pattern for him. He basically exclusively likes older women. We'll also say the book definitely mentions that he's kind of like hooking up with other people when they kind of start their little thing, and then it stops. In this, it feels very much like, no, like once he finds Solene, he's just so enamored with her, which I definitely prefer. Either way, while they don't sandwich in this particular altercation, he goes right for those mommy milkers when he's on the piano. I'm sorry, her bosom. You know, normally I wouldn't have any issues saying that at all, but it's something about it being Anne Hathaway. I'm like, the lady deserves respect. Though very weird to start playing piano when someone's on the phone and just like not tell them what it is. And they just go for the full no music ambient noise makeout session. Like the tension in the theater, you could feel it.
I'm too old for you.
There was a guy who kept saying, "Get it, girl," and this was the situation. This was the one time it was like, yeah.
I could be your mother.
You're not.
But I could be.
But then she kind of freaks out, sends him on his way, but then he leaves his watch behind, so she'll have to talk to him again, except that he still tracks her down separately ahead of time by using the phone number that was on the art invoice, which is not a cool thing to do even if you are a famous musician. And while she really tried to maintain that it couldn't possibly work, she agrees almost immediately to fly out to New York to see him because Izzy's at camp. Convenient. And they just instantly start going at it, which I expected because it is based on a smut novel, but damn, the escalation from we can't do this, not even kiss, to flying out for sex was fast. Good for her. The book certainly has some artistic lines around this whole scenario. You know, when she gets here for this hookup, she can feel his endowment and thinks, Jesus fuck, was that his dick? All this through my underwear. God bless him. God has left the room, ma'am. But while this is happening, she keeps focusing on how he's barely an adult. Again, he is 4 years younger in the book. And it's just so weird for it to focus on it in that way. Almost like she's specifically being like, look, you know, you guys had kind of gotten over it, but I'm really gonna drive home the fact that even I acknowledge that this person is literally half my age. Just kind of weird.
Can I have chicken fingers? Cool.
Oh no, he is a little boy. No, like I get it. Sometimes the fingies slap, but no. He also has the not Icarus tattoo that everyone calls Icarus. I see people getting this tattoo almost constantly to the point that I know that it's actually from a series of art called The Four Disgracers, which does actually include Icarus, but this is specifically Phaethon. And they always add in the wings, which make no sense because even if it was Icarus, if he was falling, the wings would have been burned because that's why he's falling. Anyway, I don't know who okayed that tattoo because now people are going to get it even more. He honestly has a smattering string of the worst tattoos. Like, I thought this one was a lav mic for a while. Anyway, this all goes so well that he wants to bring her on his European tour. As if she's not a whole-ass adult with a job.
I literally bought all of the art in your gallery. So, I mean...
So she goes. To be fair, it's like not a bad argument. It's a great whirlwind romance with concerts and sandwiching. In the book, he accompanies different overseas art stuff with her and just props her up. So this seems like a pretty good place to just sprinkle in some more of those wild lines from the book, because I won't be going through it step by step, because I just feel like you all need to experience it along with me. His tongue dipping down so far, it was basically in my ass. She prayed a little prayer to the penis gods and hoped that she will be pleasantly surprised. The ocean, the summer, his dick in her mouth, it was perfect. If she could have buried herself in his lap and sucked his dick then and there, she would have. Until she could feel his ocean boat employees dripping out of her. You're not allowed to cry with my dick in your mouth. That one in particular was great. At one point, he asks after he's already inside her if he should put a condom on. Wild. And then at one point, I just feel like anal got sprung out of nowhere. And while I have no experience and will never know and never want to know, I just don't feel like that's something that should be sprung out of nowhere. But hey, they're having an amazing time letting those walls down, which leads to someone snapping some pictures of them smooching in Paris. So that's just a ticking time bomb, but the whole situation blows up earlier because Ollie starts stirring shit and reveals that the Coachella song flip is actually a move. And everyone being in on it except for her feels like when she found out Daniel was cheating on her and all of their friends knew.
I got swept up in the idea of you, but we both knew it had to end.
Ooh, they said it! They said the title! I think the book actually says it a lot, but like, we got one. And he's actually crushed by this because he genuinely likes her, but it's too late. Back to LA she goes. In the book, Ollie actually tries to make a move on her at one point, which was even more drama. There was also like a whole thing there where she asks if like he and Ollie had ever hooked up and he says no, but then maybe I missed it, but I feel like they don't actually get back to the drama. Some of the drama was that Hayes had slept with Ollie's older sister, but then it seemed like there was an entire other layer going on there, and I don't remember what it was anymore, which is so weird. Anyway, weird dynamic in the book. He's just kind of a shit stir asshole in the movie. Also, I fully understand being a little bit intimidated wearing a bikini around 20-year-olds, but she's already been shown as a total babe in a bikini, and the denim oversized overdress thing was not the solution. But then when she gets home, there's a package waiting for her, and that son of a bitch bought her that one painting that makes her feel everything. And before she can even begin to process that pain, the pictures leak online. Her ex goes at her for how young he is, but the woman he cheated on with points out how hypocritical that is and that she plans to leave him. Not at all what happens in the book. They actually get engaged there.
Would you want to get Thai food with me sometime?
No.
Okay.
It's like the little touches of comedy that really make this so fun. Again, yes, there can be a lot of problems with age gap relationships. It can be very predatory. There's just different life experience things. And a lot of the times people are just like trying to date younger because they don't know any better and they'll put up with your shit abusive behavior. But the reason why Daniel's actions were worse was because he was cheating on his wife. The movie does take time to address this though. Kinda. Like her friend's like, yeah, it's gross when Daniel does it, but not you. But that's her friend who's obviously gonna be your hype person. And yeah, it was just like kind of gross to be cheating on your wife. It does make for an interesting dynamic because I do think the pushback on age gap relationships where the man is older is starting to get where it should be, where it was kind of more accepted in the past. But I understand why it's nice to see it from the opposite dynamic in a way that isn't overtly predatory like in 50 Shades. Two people at the top of their respective careers, though, completely ignoring issues the book went into, like mommy issues and whether he might want kids. In the book, there's this very interesting dynamic where a lot of people are kind of like fine with the idea when they do think it's just sex, and it's when it kind of starts being more than that people are like, oh, bestie, ew. Either way, the world finds out very quickly who she is, and it's a shit show. Oh, Jesus. It was such like a funny reaction for such a serious situation. And sadly, by the time she's heading to camp to pick Izzy up, everybody knows, including her. In the book, Izzy's immediately super upset and heartbroken because she's 13 and still thinks that they could date. But high school Izzy, much more reasonable.
Why would you break up with a talented, kind feminist?
So Izzy being okay with it is enough for her to want to try again, even though it doesn't really change the things that happened when they were overseas. But conveniently, he's in LA recording a solo track because he's looking to kind of like boost up his solo side of things.
With you, I feel everything.
Oh my God, it's just like the painting. He's like her painting, guys.
I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed right now.
Stand.
Need a moment. All right, I've had a moment.
Gosh darn it, it's so cute. So they decide to try to figure it out. You know, they send up a bunch of security and cameras around the house. They're working to stay off social media, but it's a whole frenzy in the tabloids. And that's dumb, but yeah, them all hanging out just makes it painfully obvious that her daughter is essentially the same age and not that much less mature. But they're in love and making it work. All montage to that song that he's been working on most of the movie that she liked, and it's honestly good. Like, I don't know what to tell you, I dig the Hayes Campbell solo project. And then Daniel comes around to a shirtless Hayes. Amazing.
What's your end game here, bro?
Bro.
Really trying to pull power because that's his wife that he cheated on and divorced this boy is messing with.
You're screwing this kid that she's had a poster of next to her bed since she was 10.
She never had a poster of Hayes in her bedroom. It was Rory. It was always Rory.
Now, even though Daniel is obviously a total dickhead, he is not wrong on the effects this is going to have on Izzy. She can't step outside without hundreds of pictures being taken of her, but now people at school are getting in on it too. The dude she likes said to tell Solene that he turns 18 in a month.
Some seniors asking if you could get a picture of Hayes' penis for them.
And now that it's so severely affecting Izzy, she needs to end it. And Hayes offers to quit it all for her, which for one, don't do that, but two, that wouldn't solve anything. It would actually make it all so much worse. Literally be like, this is the old hag that made Hayes quit. Now we don't have nice things anymore. I don't know why I hissed.
You're not gonna fight for us?
Not when the kid is involved. Sorry, bucko, you're always gonna be number 2.
I auditioned for the band when I was 14. It shouldn't ruin a whole life.
It's not going to.
Which is fair, it shouldn't take your whole life, but sadly things don't always work out.
Promise me you'll revisit this in 5 years.
If you get a shot at happiness, you take it.
And this is about where the book ends. There was a lot more drama going on. Like there was this whole thing where a 16-year-old at one of the shows lied about her age. So then one of the other dudes hooked up with her and then she needed to call her mom, but Hayes refused to let her in the room because he can't have someone's DNA in his room because then he could get accused of it, which is like fair, but it's just a super fucked up situation all around. A real moment of her being like, well, I'm thinking of this as a mother. He's thinking of this as like a celebrity with a PR team. And then the breakup itself obviously gets drawn out more. Like they have moments where they're trying to keep it normal and just laughing, and then it flips to crying like so often that it just feels normal to be that way. Not a fun place to be. So in the book, she genuinely splits off from him. He tries texting for quite a while and it literally ends with, and then one day the messages stopped. Long before I had stopped loving him. Dude, I can only imagine how pissed people were. I assumed there had to be a sequel. I thought I had found one, but then I realized it was like fan fiction based on her book, not fan fiction that she wrote to make the book. Either way, there's no sequel, at least not yet, but the movie knew we weren't gonna be okay with that. They knew they couldn't do that, so they gave us our 5 years later, where she's still single and Izzy's off at college and she scrolls by Hayes playing a solo show on the Graham Norton show. And I gotta say, they did a great job making him look 5 years older.
I've scheduled myself a little break, maybe a little holiday to LA. There's someone I would like to see there.
Ooh, but she doesn't even seem like excited or fully even reacting to this beyond some like depression. Maybe she assumed that it would be for someone else, but we know better. We know better because the next day he walks into the gallery. Nice and simple, not too drawn out. It leaves room for a sequel if they want, but it is fine as is. Just knowing that they're going to take that other chance and that they've had the 5 years to think about whether or not it's even worth it. Is it realistic? I'm not entirely sure, but that's okay. Not ending up together like in the book probably makes the most sense for a variety of reasons, that they both played an important role in each other's lives but wouldn't necessarily be endgame. That this was kind of a renewed coming of age for Solene and a way for Hayes to take the jump into independence with his career. But totally get going for the rom-com standard. This wasn't looking to be La La Land. That's pretty much it. Again, the book obviously has a lot more like drama going on. Like at one point she meets his parents and it's kind of weird, and then he meets her parents, or at least like she tells her parents about him, and the mom's French and like, oh my god, as long as you don't fall in love, it's fine. Oh my god, no, you've already fallen in love. Speed. Apologies. Half of my family's French. I mean no disrespect. But overall, I gotta say, I drastically prefer the movie. I think that it is just, it's the right length, it's sweet, it breezes along, it hones in on the things that it needs to hone in on, it doesn't drag out in too many places, addresses the problems that they have as a couple and why it's realistic and why things wouldn't work. It's fun. It's a fun movie. So after that dumb little ramble, let me know what you guys are thinking down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you fall somewhere in between? Did you enjoy it? Were you a fan of the book beforehand? And how do you feel about this now? If you didn't like the book, did you end up enjoying the movie, because I feel like that's probably going to be a trend. I know I personally did end up enjoying the movie more, but I read the book after, so it is kind of different. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members, and thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. All my other social medias are listed down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, actually, this time, and we'll catch you all later. Also, I know I've mentioned it a couple times, I really had a lot of fun with my Love Lies Bleeding video. If you want to check that out and you haven't yet, I'd appreciate it. Do I have to snap again if I do? Okay.